you wrote about how the intelligence agencies and the local police also carried out certain operations and should I say programs to de-radicalize a lot of these people who were either on the verge of joining these radical organizations or who had already joined them. So could you give us a little brief about that?
Yeah, see, de-radicalization programs are a very hit and miss construct, right? So they are criticized and used simultaneously by various states, especially in Europe and so on. And in Europe, they became very popular after the Islamic State fueled refugee crisis that happened in 2014-15.
Right.
But it's also kind of programs that have been orchestrated by the Indian military, for example, in Kashmir. Now, the problem there is that you can't, first and foremost, ask the armed forces fighting terrorism and counterinsurgency battles to also de-radicalize people. Right. So that's a fundamental flaw of how at least India approaches it. And the other states that India has tried, in Maharashtra being one, Kerala being the other, and a couple of others that Andhra, till a certain extent, had a program at least. The success level is very difficult to assess because there is no structured blueprint on what the program is, or at least it's not been shared in public, and there have been no consultations or not enough consultations with civil society and civil actors on how a de-radicalized program goes. The fundamental of the de-radicalization program in India is going through family, right? Because that's a very strong construct within Indian ecosystem in society. But we still, there are other factors. Okay, fine. How do you decide who's de-radicalized? What's the definition of de-radicalization as per India's requirement? And how do you assess someone as de-radicalized? And then how do you follow it up so that you make sure they don't fall back into the same ideological trappings?
I was speaking to Phil Gursky from CSIS last week, and he was telling me the exact same thing, where they had multiple cases in Canada where, Al-Qaeda recruits were de-radicalized, and again, after a month or a year, they would join some of the other.
Because, a lot of these programs, especially from what I have seen in India, are approached by the process that, look, these are wayward youths, and they, the family will intervene, and it will be like, beta mat karo, and it will get sorted out. That's not a program.
Such a poor strategy, actually.
But that's not a program, right? A program needs to be watertight. It needs to be at least, let's say if there is one individual you're trying to put through this program, you are at least engaging with that individual at least for 2 to 3 years. To make sure that they are economically settled, they're societally settled, family-wise, within their family, they are not feuding with each other, so that they have a clear path to get out of this situation. And we've seen, one of the cases that happened, the stabbing cases that happened in London, was a guy who was in a de-radicalization program and was coming back from it. From a program of that anti-criminal or anti-de-radicalization thing that Cambridge was running, I think, in London. And then he went on one of the major roads in London and stabbed someone. So, it's very precarious on pushing this beyond a point unless you have a concrete strategy publicly available around it.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.